Hello, welcome to Drawing 2 and 3. I'm really looking forward to meeting you this week over Zoom. In this video, I want to go over our Canvas page, and as I review our Canvas page, I'm going to go into kind of the structure of our class, how to turn in our homework, and kind of the nuts and bolts of our first week here. All right, let's get started. So everybody uses Canvas a little bit differently, and so I wanted to take a moment to go over how I use Canvas, how I organize it. Now, if you've never logged into Canvas before, make sure you check out the e-learning page on how to log into Canvas for the first time. As a North Seattle student, you already have an account and it'll walk you through the process of logging on. And I will send you a link to that video in an email introduction. All right, so once you've logged in and you've gone to your courses and you've selected Art 112, Art 113, this is a multi-level class, but because even though it is a multi-level class, we're all going to be doing the same projects. For those of you returning from Art 113 who've had me before in Art 112, no worries, we're going to be doing all new projects, all different learning objectives. There might be a couple overlaps in readings, but in general, it's all new content. All right, so I use, this quarter, I'm using like a landing page or a home page, and you'll see up here on home, it'll also on your phone be called front page. So if you're using the Canvas app, this is the front page. Your front page at the top will have kind of an overview of our class schedule. Now the class schedule will be a little wonky the first few weeks as we kind of get ourselves going, but in general I try to keep the same schedule every single week for consistency. You know, barring there is one class where we're missing our Zoom meeting because of the school closure. As you look at your overview, you'll notice that, yes, we have our Zoom meeting every Thursday from 10 to 11:50. This right here is a live link, so you could click to the Zoom meeting right from your calendar here. There's lots of other places where it's posted. On Thursday, either before class or after class, I'll have the week's assignment posted. You also have what we call our self-evaluations due. This is just kind of takes the form of a quiz in Canvas, but essentially it's a moment to take a pause and reflect on what you've learned and what your goals are with each project so that you can kind of allow yourself to figure out what you need to do for the next week. A lot of times we have multiple week assignments, and so this is a moment to kind of figure out how you're going to use the next week's work on that assignment. The evaluations are always live. But I recommend doing them after the Zoom meeting because although you've completed your assignment Wednesday night, it's kind of nice to give yourself a pause before you do your self-reflection. Right after you finish your drawing, sometimes you're feeling really excited, sometimes you're feeling really disappointed, and after meeting with your group and talking about your work, you'll be in a much better place to give a clear, concise self-evaluation. So I recommend doing that after our Thursday Zoom meeting. I post, for simplicity's sake, I post the whole assignment on Thursday. That will include a reading and the written critique deadlines and the self-evaluations for the week. Your drawings assignment are due Wednesday at midnight, and I am going to post grades on the previous week's assignments on Sunday. So your written critiques of your fellow students are due on Saturday of the previous work, and we don't have a reading every single week, but when we do, it's due on Saturday. All right, so I'm using this homepage, this front page, to kind of go over what's due every week and to kind of let you know what's happening at North. I will usually include stuff at North, but if there's also a lecture happening in Seattle, I'll include it here as well, or anything that I think extracurricular that I think you'd be interested in. Right now our homepage has our Zoom link, so we're meeting this Thursday. You can find, I'm looking forward to seeing you. We are going to be using our first Zoom class not to do introductions because you have an online introduction, and we'll use our online introductions to help us the following week structure our your personal introductions. But this week we're going to be using our Zoom class to go over basic drawing materials. So I am going to have a ton of drawing materials, and I am going to be showing you not just the materials that you are required to have, but basically an overview of drawing materials in general. So before our Zoom class, gather all your basic drawing materials, your fine charcoal, your compressed charcoal, anything that somebody's given you that you have in some random box. Grab a bunch of the different types of papers that you have so that you can follow along. So I'm going to be like showing you a stick of vine charcoal, telling you what vine charcoal is, why we use it, how you can identify it that it's vine charcoal, if it's a tiny little broken stick at the bottom of a Ziploc bag. And I want you to be able to follow along. So gather all your materials. Now, the reason I'm doing our basic drawing material demo live rather than a pre-recorded video is because I want you to be able to ask questions, because there is no pre-assigned kit. So for those of you who have taken entry-level classes or beginning classes at North, we very often work with an art store to have a pre-assembled drawing kit. Now, that is not really that effective for drawing 2 and drawing 3 students, because a lot of you have taken drawing 1 and you have those materials already. And so you only need to buy, you only need to kind of restock rather than like kind of repurchase. So it's going to be your responsibility to go to an art store or to go online and purchase all the materials that you need individually. And so I want you to feel really confident by the end of our Zoom meeting. I want you to feel very confident about knowing all the materials that you have and confident for shopping materials. Now, in this class, there is going to be plenty of opportunity for you to select your own materials. So in some assignments, I'm going to say, use this material, like in our first assignment. But in many of the assignments, you choose. And so I also want you to know about all the different options out there so that you can kind of start making your own informed decisions. The other thing is this welcome video. It'll be right here. After you have watched our welcome video and our tour of this classroom, what's due this week is to read the syllabus, complete the syllabus survey or the kind of introduction survey, complete the introductions. You need to do these things before January 10th in order to stay in the class. Anybody who doesn't perform all 3 of these things by January 10th, I will drop on January 11th to make room for more students. We are going to be a full class. So the next thing is your first drawing project and your first reading. I'll mention this in class, but we're very excited to have Faye Jones coming and giving an artist talk at North, and here is the link to that. We will be having artist talks most Mondays from 12 to 1 throughout the quarter, and I will always post them here. So I think there's about 4 coming up, so every other Monday, pretty much. All right. That's the front page. I use modules, so if you then kind of click on modules, we'll kind of go into each of these things. All right, so at the first thing on the top is another version of your weekly class schedule. I just find this is a little bit more phone friendly. It also, right here on Thursday, has the full Zoom link. So this is where you would find that full Zoom link to join us. And we'll use this same link every week. All right, the next thing you're gonna see here is what's called critique groups. The way I'm going to be structuring our class critiques is that every 3 weeks you're going to be assigned to a critique group. And so your name will be somewhere here on the list. That critique group is the group that you are writing, you're meeting with in breakout rooms during our weekly Zoom meetings. And it's who you're responsible for doing written critiques for every single week. So to find out who you're in charge of critiquing, you come and find your name on this list, and you're in charge of critiquing everybody in your group. So you'll have usually 3 people to write critiques on. This will rotate every 3 weeks, but this is the only place that this information is provided. So if you don't know who you're in charge of critiquing, this is where you go. Drop down here, find your name on the list. It's not posted anywhere else in Canvas. So if you don't know who you're critiquing, check here. All right, I do a class organization as kind of week 1, week 2, week 3, etc. So we are in week 1. We have our introductions, and for those of you who have taken classes with me before, this is how I do it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is kind of update your Canvas settings. You may have already done this before, and that's great. Let's go over how to do that. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go over to Account over here. It'll be a little picture. You can see it has my photo on it. You're going to click on there, and you're going to come down to Settings. Now, this might look a little different for you because I have teacher settings, but in general, this is what it'll look like. You'll have an option to change your picture right here, and you'll have an option to adjust your name. So you go over here to Edit Settings, and if you need to adjust your name, if your registration name isn't the name you go by, say you go by your middle name, and you want everybody to know that and call you by your middle name, then you're going to want to adjust that here. Okay, make sure you adjust it in all 3 cases. So Emily Gerard, Emily Gerard, Emily Gerard, I want to change all 3 of those. That way that your name is appearing consistently across all Canvas platforms. The other thing you want to select is your pronoun. So it's a drop-down menu right here. That will appear next to your name in parentheses everywhere on Canvas, so we can make sure that we're using the correct pronoun. click Update Settings. All right, so done, go through our introduction. There's another element of introductions, which is kind of typing an introduction and introducing yourself to the class and sharing with us a drawing that's important to you. All of that's in the introduction. Here is our syllabus. Make sure you take time to read it. I go over the first week check-in, class organization. I do a written out version of each of the class organization. I kind of tell you how much each section is worth. So critiques and self-reflection are worth 30% of your grade. Readings and the written parts about those readings are 20 and drawings are 50. I also have my late policy here. Please review my late policy. This quarter, I am enforcing a pretty strict late policy. About 20 to 25% of each assignment is based on timely completion. I will give you a percentage of that 20% if it's turned in within 24 hours. So you don't just lose all the points the minute it's late, but it's kind of on a sliding scale up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, it's considered completely late and you lose 20%. And all of this is in my rubrics. Students will have 1 week from the due date to turn in late homework for a grade. After that, I'm not accepting any assignments. This is simply put because a lot of our assignments are built on the previous week. They're graded on their weekly completion. Some of them are drawing exercises that are needed for the next week's work. And getting a couple weeks behind can be disastrous for this class. So my late policy is kind of trying to help enforce staying on top of our weekly assignments. Now, if something comes up and you are sick or have a family emergency and you are not able to turn in your assignment on time, please contact me at the time the assignment is due so that we can set up a way for you to get back on track. And so I can give you extensions. I can extend this 1 week turn in time, but this is something we need to do kind of in the moment. So, and not, 4 weeks later, you mentioned that you haven't turned anything in. Please keep communication open. Assignments that are turned in late will not be part of the weekly video critiques. But you can contact me if you need additional feedback and I can meet with you over Zoom to provide that feedback. I will not be providing written feedback on late homework. All right, here is our required materials list, and I'm going to go over this in great detail in Zoom meeting later this week, but kind of look through this, and before we meet, look through it, see if you have everything. If you have something that you think would be an equal substitute, ask me about it. So come down here to paper. If you don't have a Strathmore pad of drawing paper, but you've got a Robert Bateman's pad of drawing paper, and you want to know if that's going to be an equivalent, let me know, and I will walk you through whether or not you need to have Strathmore specifically, or whether a Robert Bateman sketchbook would be an equal fit. So look through and make a list and see if you need what you're going to need to purchase. And I recommend doing this after our Zoom meetings so that if I show you something that's not on this list that you're excited about, you have the opportunity to purchase it as well. Here's a list of art supply stores. Artists and craftsmen you can still walk into. They have free parking. You just have to go to the store and get the parking code. They're also right next to a bus stop, so they're pretty easy to get to, right off of I-5. Blick is also open and easy to get access to. Artful Touch is an amazing store, a little bit out of its way, but has the best prices, and those would be my top 3 choices. All right, student conduct. Most of this is pretty common sense, but one of the things I wanted to kind of touch base on is in an online class, it's really normal for you to email me quite a bit as a way of communicating with me because you don't see me outside of class. But make sure that when you are emailing your teacher, that you remember that you're emailing your teacher. Know that I typically respond within 24 hours, but not immediately. And I am not checking my computer between 2 and 8 p.m. So if you're emailing me anytime around then, note that you're probably not going to hear back from me till at least late that evening. I have a list of kind of standard tips for emailing your teacher. The first thing is before you send that email, make sure I haven't already answered that question. So if you're asking me a question on the homework assignment and you haven't watched the video yet, so make sure you've read the assignment, watched all the videos, read all the announcements. If you've missed class, you've watched the class video. Do all of that before you send me an email asking me a question. because I get dozens and dozens of emails a day from associated with teaching, and I can't respond to all of them. So please do that. Keep a professional tone. Don't type mad. This is the thing that I really kind of wanted to highlight. Drawing is frustrating. I get it. Believe me. But if you are frustrated with your drawing and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're exhausted, that is not the time to email your teacher. It's not going to be a productive way to communicate with me. If you're frustrated with an assignment, the thing to do is to just set up a Zoom meeting with me so that I can actually provide you concrete feedback that can improve your work. Sign your emails. This seems really obvious, but unless you're sending me something through Canvas, through the inbox system in Canvas, keep in mind that school emails filter out a lot of information. So online, our school email system filters a lot of information. And so a lot of times I receive emails that have no name on them, and it's not like it's in the heading of the email. So please sign your emails with your first and last name so that I know who you are and what class you're in. And be aware that your teacher may not reply to your email if it doesn't require a response. Be aware of what's considered plagiarism in this class. And so it's pretty straightforward, but we do a lot of master copying, and so it's important that you know where that line is. We have a zero tolerance policy towards sexual harassment. There is contact information right here. Disability service is up and running and really, really active. So if you feel like you need a letter of accommodation or you need additional services, they're right here. Also, veteran services. Make sure that you reach out to veteran services if you haven't already. All right, let's go back to our modules. So there's the syllabus in a nutshell. Here's the syllabus survey. Let's get to project 1. So when you look at a homework assignment, it is going to have the listed materials, and in some cases, those materials will list several options. A brief overview, written overview of the assignment. And in our first assignment, I kind of have a breakdown of going through. Now, what you're going to do for this assignment is you are going to photograph yourself or a friend or family member. You're going to consider composition when you do this photograph and kind of read through the assignment, layers of space. I go through the assignment in great depth in another video. So I just wanted to kind of go through and show you what an assignment looks like. I have the basic steps. And right here, when this class is published, will be your video. So I assume that you have watched all of the video. My written descriptions of an assignment tend to be pretty simple and pretty basic. They don't go into a lot of the nuts and bolts of an assignment. They just kind of have the the Cliff Notes version. I assume that for all techniques and for all content, you have watched the video. Now, our first video, and this is going to be pretty typical, is about an hour and 10 minutes. It's long. I go over every single step, and although sped up, I do a full drawing of the assignment. I review critical content throughout the video, so I don't kind of go over everything you need to know in the first 10 minutes and then just kind of show you how to do it. I am going through lecture-based information throughout the video. So in the 45-minute mark, I will pause drawing, and then I will give a new lecture on the content that's needed at that moment. And so I assume that you're interested in learning and that you have watched the whole video. Please be aware that you will have anywhere between 2 to 3 hours of videos every single week. If we were meeting in person, we would have a 6-hour class. And so during that 6-hour class, I would probably lecture for an hour and demo for an hour while you were working. So this is kind of replacing that. So please watch the entire videos always. Here are our basic learning objectives, and here is what I'm basing the grading on. So I am using a rubric system. You can see I have, for this assignment, I have on time, photograph, requirements, composition, edges, and proportion shading, and I go into what would be kind of quality in each of those, or an excelling, proficient, developing, beginning in each of those categories. If you are curious as to how the point breakdown is, you can come up to these 3 dots and you can view the rubric. And here is that rubric broken down into points. All right, so that is grading. Make sure before you post your assignment that you've read what it's being based off of. Photographing your work. This is a level 2 class, so many of you have this experience, have already had this experience of how to photograph your work and post it. I have a video that I just made on photographing large drawings and how to kind of photograph your work using window light and reflectors. This is my preferred method of documenting your work. Please take the moment to watch this video. You will be graded on whether or not your photo is in focus, is got kind of evenly lit, is square in the frame, and is white balanced. So these are the photo submission guidelines. And it looks like my document image isn't loading right here, but right here will hopefully be a photo for you of a working photo and a not working photo. Submitting your assignment, I have how to embed an image in Canvas, but I'm going to go over that right now. So once you have completed your assignment, you've read it thoroughly, and for this assignment, you can see what you need to post. Let's look at that. Photographing your work. Here we go. Submitting your assignment. For this assignment, you are toning a piece of paper with Vine, toning a piece of paper with compressed charcoal, and then have the finished drawing. So for this assignment specifically, you are going to upload 3 images. So you're going to show us the works in progress. And this is going to be pretty typical. We work on longer drawings, and so I'm going to be asking you to submit stages of that drawing. That way, when we're looking them at a critique, I can make suggestions not just on the finished drawing, but how you've developed that drawing over 3 to 4 hours. This gives me an opportunity to see how you work, which is something I would see if we were meeting in class. So you're always going to put your finished drawing on top, and then label the next 2 steps. And so this is the system that we're going to use. Finished drawing on top, labeled as finished drawing, and then the stages. And the stages here are toned paper with Vine, toned paper with charcoal. All right, so the first thing you're going to do, because this is what's called a graded discussion, is you're going to click on reply. Now, this is a graded discussion, which means everything that you post to our drawing assignment is viewable by the entire class. This is great because this allows us to see each other's work and to give feedback on it. So a text box pops up, and the first thing you'll want to do is you're going to want to label what you're doing. So this is a finished drawing. Now, one of the things I want to note, this is Grammarly. One of the things I want to mention, I've kind of right here have a free version of Grammarly that checks my spelling for Canvas. Canvas is notorious for being having really clumsy spell check and not catching a lot of kind of spell check errors. So I don't recommend typing a lot in Canvas. I recommend using a word processor and copying and pasting. Okay, so here's our finished drawing. Now I'm ready to embed my image. Now, you do not want to use the paperclip attached, because then for us to see your image, we would have to download it. Every student would have to download every other student's work, and that's just not feasible. Instead, you want to embed the image right here so that it's scrollable, and we can just scroll through and see everybody. So you've probably noticed, for those of you who've used Canvas a lot, it looks a little different. It's actually a little better. So you come up through here, and you want to go to this icon right here, which is a kind of like a little picture and mountain. And you're going to click down, and you're going to go upload image. Upload image. So you're going to need to have your image already on your phone or your desktop. I feel that desktop is the best way. There's a lot of functions in the phone. There's a lot of things that are in the desktop version that are not in the phone version. All right, so finish drawing first. I have it right here. I'm just going to drag and drop. It's important that you type a description here, because sometimes things don't load, and it's then useful. So I would do image, so that we know that we're not just seeing some random text, but we're seeing a missing image. In other words, if your internet is running a little slow, it will post this alternate text, and we'll know that something's there. It's just our internet's not loading it. So image, finished drawing. This will allow us to know that something is there, we're just not seeing it. You want it to be embedded, not an additional link. Please do not select decorative image. It does not prioritize loading decorative images, and we want it to load your homework. So then you're going to click submit. It might take a moment for it to load, so just be patient. Okay, now our cell phone pictures, our new cell phones, all take huge photos, which is awesome. But if we all just directly load these huge photos, it's such a pain to scroll through. So you want to click on the image again, and you'll get image options. you'll click on image options, and this is new in Canvas, so please pay attention if you haven't seen this before. Right here I have our alternate text. I'm not going to select decorative images, embed images, and I want to come down to size, and I want not custom, but extra large. And extra large will already shrink this pretty dramatically. We come down here to, there's a done right here. Click done, and you'll see it has shrunk my image. And now I'm ready to add my next image. So the next thing I want to do is Vine, what did I call it here? I called it Toned Paper with Vine. Okay, copy. Okay, Toned Paper with Vine is the next image. I'm going to go onto another line, and I'm going to repeat that process. Upload image. I'm going to call it image toned with Vine. It's not a decorative image, an embedded image. Select. Once again, it's huge. No need to have such a huge image. So I'm going to click image options, come down to custom, extra large, done. If you like to have things a little bit like more kind of, here you can just hit return. Keep in mind that while it's loading here and then here, sometimes that'll all get changed depending upon the way we view it. Toned with charcoal. Now for toned with charcoal, for this part, you had an option of using compressed charcoal, and there's multiple brands of compressed charcoal. You had the option of using black pastel. So those are two things that you could have toned this with. I toned, and you'll see in my demo, I toned with black pastel and compressed charcoal. So I'm going to list that there so that those who are giving feedback to me or who are studying my drawing and want to know how I got such a velvety rich blackness can see the materials that I used here. Once again, I'm going to go embed, upload images, and it's just a solid black piece of charcoal drawing. Images toned with charcoal. All right, submit. Once again, it's huge. Image options, large. Done. All right, I'm going to double check that I have everything here. I have all three images, my finished, my toned, my compressed. I'm ready to click reply, post reply. Now I have given you the option to edit posts and delete posts. You should be able to come up here and you'll be able to edit and delete. Please keep in mind that even though you delete it, it is still visible by me. All right, so I have turned in the assignment. All right, there's one more assignment this week. It's due January 10th, so it's due this weekend, and it's a reading assignment. It's a pretty short reading. Reading assignments are not graded discussions, so when you post to the reading, it's only viewable by you and the teacher, and this is what it'll look like. You do not need to purchase any textbooks for this class. I will provide all of the readings for you. So here's what a reading assignment looks like. It will have the book that it's coming from, and it's pretty standard. I ask you to pull 3 specific concepts that you've learned from the text. Make sure you cite them, so bring me to the page and the 3rd paragraph. Canvas is notoriously glitchy, so I recommend typing your responses in a Word document or a word processing program and then copy and paste them into the submission box. You are going to do this as a text entry box. Here's the reading right here, and here is the real kind of standard rubric that goes along with it. You're going to click Submit Assignment, and a text entry box will come down. Yes, you can type directly in here, but as I said, Canvas doesn't really spell check or do grammar check, and it very often crashes or times out or something of that nature, and you lose everything that you have typed. So type in another word processor, copy and paste, and then click Submit. All right, thank you for watching this video. I'm super excited about meeting you this week, and have your drawing materials ready, and we'll start drawing.